3:43 a.m. The mission to destroy a Russian supply ship bound for Iran was considered a ghost story. That changed when a Russian Pantsir-S1 radar suddenly flickered to life on the Astara shoreline. In an instant, a $15,000 Ukrainian drone was thrust into a high-stakes race against a Mach 3 missile system. This was not a routine engagement. It was a 122-second sprint to determine the fate of Russia's most strategic railway project. If the drone survived the next 2 minutes, Putin would lose a €1.6 billion investment. If it failed, the back door for S-400 components would remain wide open. We are talking about the Rasht-Astara Railway. Think of it as Putin's €1.6 billion private delivery service, a massive investment designed to turn the Caspian Sea into a walled garden for the Kremlin. For Moscow, this was more than just a train track. It was a secure backdoor to the Persian Gulf, a place where they could move high-value military hardware to their allies in Tehran. All of this without a single American satellite or Israeli jet watching their every move. It was supposed to be the one place on Earth where Russia's strategic exports were untouchable. But even the most expensive doors can be kicked in if you have the right key. Deep inside a secure intelligence cell in Kyiv, the silence was shattered by a high-priority data burst. A ghost ship running completely dark with its transponders cut had just departed a Russian port. The manifest showed over $200 million in precision S-400 radar components and advanced electronic warfare suites destined for Iran. This was a critical shipment of Russia's most advanced technology, a move to solidify a desperate alliance and keep the Iranian regime in the fight. The clock was screaming. If that ship reached the railhead at the Astara Bridge, those components would disappear into the Iranian interior. They would become effectively invisible. This was a now or never window of opportunity to slam the door on $1 billion logistical lifeline. Consider the hurdles. Manned F-16s? Not a chance. The Russian S-400 Triumph batteries in Dagestan can lock onto a fighter jet from over 200 miles away. That is like trying to sneak a neon-lit semi-truck past a guard dog. Long-range ATACMS missiles? Great technology, but they fall short by about 400 miles. Even standard high-speed sea drones were a no-go. The Caspian Sea is essentially a giant, shallow bathtub. In that environment, a loud jet ski engine sounds like a heavy metal drum solo in a library. Russian sonar would pick them up before they even crossed the horizon. The Ukrainians knew they could not use brute force. They needed to be smarter than the radar. They needed something that could fly further than a missile, stay quieter than a boat, and move with the patience of a ghost. The solution was a long-range aerial strike combined with a tactic the Russians never saw coming: the ghost drift. 11 p.m. dark runway in Ukraine. 2 Beaver drones, $15,000 plywood assassins, claw into the freezing sky for a 1,200-mile hunt. Immediately, they execute a hard dive to just 150 feet. This isn't just flying, it is nap of the earth stealth, physically hiding behind the curvature of the earth to stay invisible to Russia's long-range S-400 eyes. Radio silence is absolute. No Starlink, no video, no pilot. Just unhackable laser ring gyros and anti-jam GPS guiding them through the Russian interior. While Moscow scans the stratosphere for multi-million-dollar jets, these plywood phantoms are simply sliding under the door. But as they hit the Caspian perimeter, the map turns red. They are entering a digital hornet's nest. Lurking in the mist is the B-200 Sea Dragon, a patrol plane with radar eyes that can spot a floating bottle from 90 miles away. Protecting the waves is the Gepard-class flagship Dagestan and 2 Buyan M corvettes. They pack Pantsir-M turrets with the reaction speed of a liquid-cooled computer rig. On the shore, mobile Pantsir-S1 units prowl the bridge site like mechanical pit bulls. To the Russian commanders, this backyard is a walled garden where the laws of war don't apply. To the SBU, it is a target-rich environment with a very weak lock. The ghosts have arrived, and the bouncer hasn't even looked up. The countdown to $1 billion disaster has reached the point of no return. The math of survival is about to get very ugly. 1:47 a.m. The lead beaver drone is forced to make a slight altitude correction to clear power cables near the shoreline. It climbs to 200 feet. That extra 50 feet of elevation is a violation of the laws of survival. On the edge of the tarmac, the spinning search radar of a Russian Pantsir-S1 catches a flicker. Usually, the beaver's composite body is invisible to radio waves, but at this range, the spinning wooden propeller creates a specific micro-Doppler return. It is a digital fingerprint that the Russian software recognizes instantly. The command vehicle screen flashes from passive green to a violent, strobing red. Suddenly, the Russian base wakes up with a mechanical scream. Air raid sirens begin to howl, tearing through the cold silence of the Astara harbor. The Pantsir-S1 turret whines as it slews 90 degrees in less than a second. Its dual 30mm cannons and missile tubes point directly at the incoming darkness. The Russian operator is grinning. To him, this is a desperate and amateurish attempt by Ukraine to score a PR victory. He thinks he is about to get an easy freebie. He flips the safety cover off the launch button. The fire control radar achieves a solid, continuous lock tone. To the rest of the world, it looks like the plan has been blown wide open. The element of surprise is dead, and the drone is seconds away from being vaporized. But here's the genius detail the Kremlin missed. Just as the Pantsir operator squeezes the trigger, the beaver drone does not dive for the bridge. It does not try to crash into the patrol boats. Instead, it maintains its altitude, flying exactly 50 feet over the stationary B-200 Sea Dragon parked on the hardstand. Kyiv sends the command code. The warhead inside the beaver functions like a directional claymore mine pointed at the Earth. It is a precision airburst charge. Physics takes over with terrifying speed. The casing splits open, unleashing a cone of 2,000 preformed tungsten cubes. Gravity and explosive velocity accelerate this lethal hail to Mach 3. It is literally raining steel. A split second later, the Pantsir missile intercepts the beaver, vaporizing it in a massive fireball. The Russian crew erupts in cheers, high-fiving each other for their flawless defense. They think they just saved the base. They could not be more wrong. They just spent a $100,000 missile to protect a corpse. On the ground, the scene is one of surgical violence. The hail of tungsten has shredded the top of the B-200. The fragments punch through the delicate fiberglass radome on the aircraft's spine. This instantly neutralizes the multi-million-dollar sensor suite. Inside, the cockpit avionics are a sparking ruin, and hydraulic fluid leaks from the perforated wings like a fatal wound. The Russian base commander stares in horror. His eye in the sky is legally dead. He realizes the amateur drone he just shot down was a gambit to take out his most valuable radar asset. Boom! Within 5 seconds, Ukraine has blinded the Russian Caspian fleet. The airspace is wide open, and the primary sensor is gone. The real assassins are still out there, in the dark,
anchored in the
drifting
bay,
closer.
the 2:15
a.m. The celebration in the Kyiv bunker lasts exactly 10 seconds. They know the clock hasn't stopped. It is only accelerating. With their eye in the sky neutralized, the Russian command at Astara realizes they are vulnerable. The base commander goes scorched earth. "Seal the harbor!" he screams over the secure line. At the harbor mouth, tugboats begin pushing old barges into the shipping channel to create a physical wall of steel. Simultaneously, the acoustic environment turns from a silent library into a heavy metal concert. Every shore-based sonar array and patrol boat is cranked to maximum active power. They aren't listening anymore. They are screaming into the water. High-frequency pings saturate the bay, bouncing off every rock, fish, and hull. It is a wall of noise designed to crush the sensors of any incoming drone. Inside the Kyiv command center, the operator's face drains of color. The telemetry screen shows acoustic interference spiking off the charts. The harbor has become a sensory kill box. But if you have been following this channel, you know that Ukraine has a habit of rewriting the rules. "We can't go in," the operator whispers. The sonar density is too high. Any motor activity will be heard instantly. The Russians believe nothing can navigate through that chaos. They are confident and aggressive. So, Ukraine decides not to give them the fight they expect. Suddenly, 10 small FPV drones scream toward the harbor from the north. These carry AI-enhanced signal emitters. They aren't trying to hide. They are trying to be as loud as possible on Russian radar. These 10 tiny drones look like a massive incoming squadron of heavy bombers. The Pantsir and Buyan M systems go into a frenzy. It is like trying to solve math problems while someone throws glitter in your face. The darkness is lit up by tracers as the Russians frantically chase these digital ghosts. While the Russians are busy screaming and shooting at the ceiling, the real assassins are already under the floorboards. 2 miles out, 3 Lyuty long-range drones and the high-speed Pantsir hybrid jet execute the most daring maneuver in history, the surface shadow. At a precise GPS coordinate, they descend to just 3 feet above the waves. They are now sea skimming, flying so low they are invisible to shore-based radars. The real genius is the power management. The Pantsir shuts down its jet turbine, switching to a low-decibel electric motor. They are no longer screaming engines. They are silent predators gliding on a cushion of air. The natural sea mist and darkness become their camouflage. They fly right past the frantic Raptor patrol boats. Russian radar operators, blinded by wave clutter and the FPV distraction, filter out these tiny blips as interference. "Filter the low-altitude noise," the supervisor barks. He just made a €1 billion mistake. The drones approach the harbor mouth. Instead of going under the steel boom nets, they utilize the radar blind zone. They fly directly behind the silhouette of the massive barges the Russians moved into the channel. By hugging the steel hulls of the enemy's own defenses, the drones use the barges as a physical shield. They slip through the gap above the waterline like smoke through a keyhole. Inside the harbor, the water is calm. The massive black shapes of the bridge supports and the cargo ship loom in the darkness. Countdown. 2 miles. 1 mile. 500 feet. Russian patrol boats are still cutting aggressive patterns, throwing grenades to scare off intruders. They are chasing ghosts, while the real ghosts are drifting right under their hulls. The drones are now so close, the Kyiv operator can see individual rivets on the cargo ship. The Pantsir jet is lined up directly with the ship's engine room. The Russians spent millions on a defense, but they forgot one thing. In a room full of people screaming, the winner is the one who stays silent. 100 feet to impact. The party is officially over. 3:30 a.m. The silence inside the Kyiv bunker is absolute. On the telemetry screens, the cameras finally zoom in on their prizes. The temporary Rasht Astara bridge looks like a skeletal spine stretching across the dark water. Next to it, the ghost ship is docked, its deck cluttered with S-400 radar canisters. $200 million of Russia's best tech are sitting like ducks. The Russian garrison finally realizes they aren't fighting ghosts anymore. It is a full-blown panic. Searchlights slash through the mist as crews try to boot up retaliatory systems. But in modern warfare, once you are looking at the target through a 4K lens, the debate is over. The Kyiv operator leans forward, his thumb hovering over the final command. He whispers 2 words.
We must
Go
reroute
time.
the northern
Impact.
shipments immediately.
The drones don't just hit, they execute. The Pantsir slams into the ship's waterline at nearly 600 miles per hour. The Lyuty drones target the bridge's primary support pylons. This is a masterclass in physics. The drones use programmable delay fuses. Instead of detonating on the surface, they punch through the steel and explode inside the structure. This creates the water hammer effect. Because water is incompressible, the explosion is forced inward, amplifying the shockwave tenfold. The pressure wave doesn't just tear the bridge, it liquefies the structural integrity of the steel. One bridge span groans and drops into the Caspian, vanishing into white foam. On the cargo ship, the blast shreds the shaft seals and turns the engine room into a high-pressure aquarium. With one click, Putin's €1.6 billion shortcut has been converted into underwater scrap metal.
Ready to roll.
The bridge is neutralized, the ship is disabled, and those critical S-400 components are now contaminated with salt water. They aren't going to Iran. They are going to the bottom of the bay. The international north-south transport corridor is effectively severed. This artery is expected to be disrupted for at least 6 to 12 months. The domino effect on Russian-Iranian logistics is a nightmare for the Kremlin. Now, a question for the tactical geeks out there. If you were the mission commander, would you have used that first Beaver drone to blind the radar plane? Or would you have gone straight for the Pantsir batteries on the shore? Drop an air or land in the comments and tell me why. Smash that like button if you enjoy seeing smart tech win the day. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss our next deep dive. I will see you in the next one.